Da-na-na-na-na-na. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Alan. I'm on Nerd BS. You heard Kyle chuckle over there as I did my silliness. This is an all X-Men episode. Just a heads up, we have watched the entire series. We're going to talk about the last 4 episodes. All spoilers will be allowed in the discussions. So if you haven't watched them, go watch them first. They're not that long and they're fantastic.
Yes.
So
I didn't know you were going to do that, by the way.
I didn't know I was going to do it either.
This is why I chuckled.
Good. I'm glad you did. I didn't know what better way to start it. What better way to start it without getting copyright?
And yes, I'm glad you did it too.
Anyways,
because I that theme song, I was talking to my sister before the show came out months ago, and I was kind of like getting a little hyped for it, and she's like, what show is that? She's like, I kind of remember it, and I sang the song. I just did what you did. And she's like, oh yeah, okay. She's like, now I know what you're talking about. So that song really is almost. It's so catchy. It's almost more iconic than the show itself.
Yeah, they're pushing it too. They're really pushing it hard because, not to say anything what happens in the final episode, but there's like a whole what would you call it? Choir performance almost with the song, like in the most intense moments. I'm just like, holy crap, yeah. This is nuts.
Yeah, the amount of detail, attention to detail in the show, hats off to the people running it and the people making it, because it's just really good.
Oh my goodness, I'm watching the show. Yeah, obviously I've seen the original series a long time ago, and my wife was in the living room today, and just some of the stuff that happens in it, she was kind of like cringing because I was like, yeah, this is intense. They've really, like, in a good way, like more like, oh, like that's kind of gross. Like I wasn't expect, like when there's a portion when they start morphing and they're like popping their necks and stuff like that. It's like really creepy sounding. They did a really good job with the sound effects. But before jumping all over the place, I mean, obviously I think we both loved it. I don't think there's any doubt about it. So
I really enjoyed it. Yes.
So first of all, we got episode 1, and I really wanted to ask you on recording. So when we first talked about X-Men, we were discussing before the show came out. We were discussing like, Nightcrawler and Colossus, and one of the things we brought up was that Nightcrawler was only in 3 episodes, and so we couldn't believe that. We couldn't believe that, and then I looked it up, and then that was accurate. Right. And so it seemed like you really wanted Nightcrawler in the show. So I ask you this. Was the trade-off worth it? I mean, you got Nightcrawler.
You mean trading off from Colossus?
No. Trading off from Gambit. They took Gambit out and put Nightcrawler in.
You know what? That's a tough call. I think because they actually killed off Gambit, it made the stakes a little bit higher. So, yes, 100%. I mean, the trade-off, although I'd love Gambit as well, and I'd want him, like, he's a great part of the show. Like, the fact that they actually killed the character was like, oh, okay, so this is real. Like,
it made the stakes really hard, like really high in the rest of the show, because especially like the stuff that happens like from henceforward, there's so much. And like I wrote down in my notes multiple times, such and such dead? Question mark. I was like, people are like, are they dying?
I honestly, when that episode ended, I was like, he's not dead. And then the next one, they have the funeral. I was like, okay, I'm wrong. I was wrong. Like, they actually killed him off, and prior to the end of the season, he's not there. So.
I was totally expecting something towards the end of the season, but I guess I'm really happy they're really pushing this longer arc. My only concern so far is we did get quite a few little cameos here and there, like Captain America, and like they kept showing Iron Man in the background and things like, and like Spider-Man. Like they kept showing a bunch of different characters. Like they would just like pan to them, and this is what this person's doing for like 2 seconds.
Oh,
and then like, oh wow. I'm kind of curious because there's been a lot of talk about like bringing back the old Spider-Man show and stuff like, and some of the other animated series. Is that something you'd want after all this nonsense?
So all the
nonsense, wonderfulness.
I mean, it was a bit much. I agree. Just to throw all those characters. So jumping to the last episode. Well, I think it was the last couple episodes they started doing that. But yeah, like you said, Daredevil was in there
consistently. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was fun to see that. And I'll let me look at it from a business standpoint. They did that to test the market, is my guess. If I'm the business manager of that show, right? Because when it's all said and done, it has to, it has to be some return on when it comes to Disney, right? It's not just a piece of art, although I would argue that it is. But for Disney, it's also a business. They need a return on it. They put those feelers out there to see what people would want, and I wouldn't mind if they did a Spider-Man 90s show.
Serious, because that was the only other Marvel show I could think of that was also pretty popular. When the
right.
Like definitely the X-Men show has had more staying power than Spider-Man because there's been, I don't even know why exactly, besides just being great. Because there's been multiple X-Men shows. There's also been multiple Spider-Man shows as well. But I guess the Spider-Man animated series that came out, I guess you'd call it Spider-Man 97 at this point.
Yeah.
I think that one's technically older than X-Men. But even then, yeah, I don't see people looking for it as much.
Well, I mean, yeah, X-Men did have a lot of movies. I don't know if they did an Avengers. No, I don't know. I don't know if there'd be a good thing to do Avengers.
I don't think there is. Yeah, I think I'm with
it. It might just be X-Men.
I
wouldn't mind Spider-Man.
I would love for them to just stick with X-Men for sure.
Yeah. And really just focus on it, right? Like, don't spread out the team to do another show on the side. Because I really don't want to see Captain America doing anything. Like, if he shows up in the X-Men, that's cool. But I don't want to see his own show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't really think of that until you asked that question.
I just was thinking about, because I just binged the last 4 episodes, and that was a consistent thing I kept seeing. But well, I just want to let's try to go through the episodes here. So we're gonna start with Bright Eyes. We're just gonna do some. I'm not gonna go note by note because that's weird.
Episode 7.
Episode 7. Yes, episode 7. Bright Eyes. It's the one before the trilogy episodes, which like everything happens. This is like the roots, the setup for everything else. They kind of really pile a lot in this episode. I was surprised how much there was. But how'd you feel about Rogue? The whole Rogue arc, because we had a really strong Rogue section. Like, we have Rogue, who she's heading out, and she's essentially hunting down who she thinks is Gambit's murderer. So she's kind of going from place to place and hitting this stuff, and we kind of end with her essentially committing a murder. Granted, it kind of gets brushed to the rug because he doesn't technically die, but at the same time, if that didn't happen, she would have murdered somebody in cold blood.
To be honest, when we talked about it before we recorded, I said this was a filler episode, and I know a lot of stuff happens, but for me, I was kind of like, to me, this was like the huge point of Gambit, basically sacrificing himself to this episode. I was like, okay, they got to clean it up and make amends. I thought it was okay, and her arc was fine. She definitely deserves it. I just wasn't into it as much. It needed to happen though, because like you said earlier, it's set up everything else.
Yes,
that is to come. So yeah, it's fine. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It really started with a turn. So, as we've said in a couple episodes when we've discussed X-Men, that this is definitely And the way I look at it is this show is designed for the people who grew up with the original show, which is awesome. It's carrying over from the original show almost directly, which is amazing. And also, it has grown with its audience. It is not a kid. This is not a kid's show anymore. This is this is an adult show. Granted, they keep the the blood and stuff down, but even then, there's blood. Like towards the end of the last couple episodes, I was like, I wasn't expecting so much blood towards the end. Now, when I say so much, I mean at all. But there was a couple scenes that really stick out in my head that I was really shocked about how much like blood there was. There wasn't gore or anything, but still, for the X-Men animated series, that is something that is not at least I don't remember that in the original show at all. Anything like that. That's why they were fighting robots all the time. So you'd have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. They turned up the not like you said, not gore, but they turned up the maturity meter just a notch, which is great because you might have some new people watching the show, and I've talked to some buddies who watch it with their kids, but it's really for us.
Yes,
we're the target audience. I don't know how many of us are out there who are like actually watching it. I know there's a lot of us, right? But I don't know how many are actually watching it, which is scary. Like I was going to talk about this later, but for me, I want another season, but I'm nervous that they didn't get the viewers.
Oh, they got it. By the way, second season was confirmed. Just to let you know, if you didn't know.
Oh, okay. When did that happen?
You're good. When did it happen? I think it was a little while ago. It wasn't super long ago, but I remember seeing like it was finally like confirmed that they are making another season.
Because from what I was hearing, there wasn't a lot of. Basically, people are just like turned off from Marvel Disney, and so they didn't even tune in, which is a shame because this is a good one. I think they finally hit the mark on this one. As far as Marvel TV shows go. So, I'm glad to hear that the second season. This is news to me. You heard it here first, folks.
Yep. So, just to have a source. Yeah, this is from yahoo.com/entertainment. And from what it's saying is that season 2 gets a major update. So what they're saying is that this season wrapped up, obviously, and the next season is in the works, but it is going to take a while. So
I heard it's going to take a year.
Probably
it's going to come out in a year, which is like what TV used to be, right? Like
that's reasonable to me. I'll give them a year. Take your time. I know you guys have issues. You guys were saying you had issues. Maybe it's gotten better, or to me, I haven't even noticed. Like from the beginning to the end, I feel like the animation has been is fantastic. I haven't really seen any problems with it, in my opinion. So if anything, it's gotten better throughout the season. But yes, whether you like it or not, whether you think it's as good as I do or not, you most people understand that had watched the show from start to finish, that it is a good show. Anyways, so
let's go back to the episodes.
Yes, so back. I'm just gonna wrap this one up. So I wanted to ask one more thing. Sinestro. I think we got excited about Sinestro. At least I did. I've always liked Sinestro as a villain because he's very sinister. Oh my god! I wrote that in my notes. We debated this as I was reading out loud, and I'm still gonna keep saying it.
I like Sinestro as well, but he never fought the X-Men as far as I know.
Big spoiler, that he crossed universes. He's in Marvel. Sinister, Mr. Sinister, the vampire mutant that is from the old show. Because I heard rumors, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard rumors that was going to be potentially the first bad guy they fight when X-Men is finally introduced in the MCU as a live action thing. Don't know if that's true or not, but I was hearing something about that. So seeing Mr. Sinister, I was excited that we were messing around with him again, especially with the flashbacks with Morph. But we finally got showed in this specific episode that he is not in control. Right. It is actually Bastion, which is the next arc. It's like all about Bastion. Was it a
Right.
letdown, or do you actually like that we got Bastion in there?
To me, it was a letdown. It got a little convoluted. I think it turned out fine. They did well with that story, and kind of, Bastion being behind the scenes the whole time. I just would have preferred to see them fight Sinister, because they kind of built up to it, and you're like, oh, there's going to be this cool showdown, and there really isn't with Sinister.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I was a little disappointed.
To be fair, we have in the original series they did fight Sinister, so I guess it would have been retreading old ground. But as we'll talk about at the end, they're still doing that anyways.
He does look, he does look really cool. Just his design, and I did like, jumping ahead when he does shrivel up when the Phoenix takes away his power. Then
I was gonna, that
was funny. That was great. That was actually pretty satisfying.
Yeah. So we jumping into the first of the 3-parter, and we have our first, Magneto's set free, pretty early on. Or no, at the end of the episode. I remember that was the big finale of the episode. This episode, I'm trying to remember, there's a lot that happened, but it was just kind of leading to that, right? Because the ending was what it led to, because like everything was kind of falling apart. Like basically the whole episode was them fighting the mutants, the cyborgs. It was the X-Men constantly either running away or fighting these creatures, which
the zombie sentinel people.
And you got some cool
name.
I think they're technically just Sentinels. I mean, I guess they're like Sentinel things. They called them cyborgs once, I thought, but that's I started writing it down. But I don't know if that was just a term they used one time or not. But they're essentially like a cyborg mutant combo thing that I guess from what they kind of explained is that some people know that that's in them, but other people, they have no idea. Because like that guy, because when scientist Trask, when Trask attempts to commit suicide, he doesn't know that he has one inside of him. So that was kind of like some people don't know, some people do know. Obviously, because like the journalist and that's with Beasts, she obviously knew because she was kind of infiltrating the mansion.
Right. Oh yeah. Professor X is back at this point.
Yeah, he comes back right at the end. We get a dump. We just Magneto goes free, and then he freaking. I love somebody I forget who started it, but somebody said Magneto was right. It was the lady who lets him go. She says Magneto was right, and he like takes off and he does like that big EMP. And it's like holy crap! Yeah. At the same time, like Professor X crashes down. And he takes off his helmet, and I love that helmet too because it's so. I love the aliens in X-Men. I've always loved them because they're so weird, and I think they look amazing because they're definitely like old school alien technology. It's like a bug helmet, and his space looks really bizarre. But as he takes it off, I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah.
So, did you have any moments that stood out in this episode that you really enjoyed? Because I have one I'm going to bring up in a minute.
The whole thing with Professor X, his whole thing with his space wife or whatever, and Gladiator was there. I kind of wanted him to stay there, to be honest. Part of me was like,
I get it.
Let the X-Men figure it out for a little bit. See if they can handle it on their own, but I guess that's not a thing. You got to have Professor X. Part of me just wanted Professor X to not be there, but he is the counterpoint to Magneto. So if ever they lose, Magneto, they're kind of the yin and yang of when it comes to X-Men stories.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought it was cool that Magneto was just like, all right, I want to EMP the whole world. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you could. I didn't realize he could just do
I didn't
that.
know he could do that either. I was like, where's he going? What is he doing? This is weird.
Yeah.
Like, I knew he was like super powerful. Like, I've always known Magneto is
Right.
just ridiculously powered. He's an Omega level mutant.
Like, yeah, like, he
So-
could level like cities, I thought,
Yeah.
you know, at best. But the whole world? But I mean, that is his thing, right? It's magnetism, the polarity of the world. So well, if he has that much power, like, why not?
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, right? Like, that becomes a global event at that point, which is what they needed in this season.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of action in this one, but I think my favorite part that comes to mind is when the Blackbird goes down again, which I think it was Jean or Storm mentions that and Beast is not going to be happy that a third Blackbird has gone down in the last couple months. So it's like, holy crap, that's a lot of. I didn't even think about that. That's got to be expensive. Planes are not cheap. I can't imagine.
Yeah, but doesn't Forge can he like make stuff?
I think he can. So maybe that's part.
Like,
maybe
that's
that
his
helps
power?
a lot. Yeah.
Like, Forge, get over here.
But
Just
as
make us stuff.
as it's going down, somehow, I guess Cyclops' Porsche was on the plane. I didn't understand that. I don't know where the Porsche came from.
Oh yeah.
All of a sudden, he had his Porsche, and it was like
That
him.
part.
It was the Summers. The Summers were all in.
Yeah. That was
the
pretty
car. I thought it was really epic. Where he was like blasting in front, she was like controlling the shield around him, and or controlling around them, and then Cable was like shooting out the back. That was fantastic. I thought that was some really cool, just pure action as they're working together as a little family.
I forgot about that scene. That was really cool. I'm surprised people, like, from what I've been reading on comments, and even people I've talked to, a couple of friends from my church, they're like, I didn't realize Cyclops is so awesome. And I was like, well, have we just seen the movies or something? Because he kind of was a weenie in the movies, but he's always been amazing.
He's been portrayed really poorly. Even in the original animated series, he was never portrayed that great. He was just kind of a leader. And I fell into that trope a long time ago, but then when I started reading the comics, I realized that Cyclops is like really awesome, and I'm really glad he's getting, you know, the praise he deserves, because he's always been a very interesting, deep character that has a lot of conflict.
Right. And he's very powerful. Very
powerful, yes.
Has a lot to him that he doesn't unleash his full power, his hyper combo finish, you know, from which he does later on. Towards the back end, yeah. So yeah, I forgot that was a cool scene. I did like Cable being part.
Cable's really cool
of this season. I thought it was random that we started with Bishop, and then we ended up getting way more Cable in this whole season. I was looking forward. I wasn't
expecting it.
I was looking forward to seeing what Bishop was going to do, and then he kind of just strolls back in.
He disappears until the end, the end.
I'm back. Oh, did something going on? Like,
something going on? Yeah, everything all right? No, the world is upside down.
So I was surprised that happened, but it was cool to see Cable kind of have a story arc and actually reconnect with his parents. I thought that was cool. I thought that was a cool story.
No, it was fantastic. Yeah, they did a really good job with the Cable story. I really liked getting more deep into Cable too. They didn't just leave him being the rough sounding guy from the future who's just all just badass. Now we actually like shaved off some of his layers and actually kind of heard somebody. There's a person in there. It's not just it's not just a big guy with a robot arm.
Speaking of that robot arm, I can't remember if it was in the next episode 9 or 10, but when he fights Bastion.
Yeah, that was the last episode.
Okay.
No. It was the next episode. You're right. It happens at the end of the next episode. Yeah, because the last episode starts with him already like that.
So that was probably one of my favorite parts of that episode was Bastion ripping his arm off and just beating him.
That was it
was brutal
episode. So we'll move on to 9 now, but that was Holy crap! I was so at the end there. My jaw was just on the floor. I was like, "What is gonna happen?" Because we already lost Gambit, so I was starting to feel like, so who's next? Like I'm starting to like. First, I thought, well, that would be it for the season, which inevitably it sounds like that's about where we're at. But at the same time, at the time watching it, I'm like, first it was Jean because I was like Cable's fighting Jean, like Beam fighting, and then it like cuts away and she just like says "I love you" to Scott. Like, and he's on a different area entirely, so she like telepathically connects to him.
Right, yeah.
Appears.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? It just happened there. And then the next one was with Wolverine, where Wolverine's like up there, and he's like he stabs him in the stomach, and that's where you get like that was like the most amount of blood I've seen in this show ever was on his blades, and then he just like Magneto just rips him apart, and you have that kind of disturbing image. I was like, oh my god, did he just kill? I mean, you technically can't, right? I don't even know. But how far are we taking this? Oh my goodness. And then at the end, I'm trying to think at the end of the episode if there's another one, but I think that was just those two were the big ones that I remember.
Yeah, I thought, and I was reading comments about the whole, and this kind of puts, I forget who picked the teams. Was it Cyclops that picked the teams? Like, let's send Wolverine to fight Magneto. Like, you really thought that one through.
That's true. That is that's a weird choice.
Like, because there was two separate, like, very different teams, and Wolverine should not have been on. They should not have been on the Magneto team. That's where that threw me. That's where it threw me off because I didn't know what was going to happen to Professor X because Professor X finally gets in his head, and then Cyclops freaking sides bushes him. So because he's like they need more time, and I was like, holy crap! I mean, I get that was I feel like that was uncalled for. I mean, I don't know if that was his place at that point, but that was obviously an emotional decision. Yeah, and it just shows like maybe not every choice is the right choice. That was what was great about the last 3 episode, right? It was a 3-parter episode to finish the season. Choices are being made in the heat of the moment, and consequences happen, right? So it's like that's really cool to see, like an animated show do that. I thought it was well done overall. So yeah, it kind of I will admit. So we're kind of getting into episode 9 and 10 here because it's like I said, it's all like connected.
One long episode. It's kind of like a movie almost at the end.
It really is. And that last episode was like 43 minutes or something. It was longer.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much longer it was. Yeah, because that's why I was a little late because I was finishing it up. The sequence with Professor X in Magneto's mind, and it's like starting to flood because Yeah, that's how that last episode starts. That was interesting. I like how they did that. It was like a flashback, and then it molded into that.
It was well done. I think it dragged on a little bit long. Like I didn't think they needed.
I could argue that. Yeah, I could see that.
But it was fine.
It was definitely like the show kind of pumping the brakes a little bit because everything was so fast that was like the only slowdown was right there.
You really did. You really did need that to kind of. Yeah, you're right. It needed like a breather from all of the adamantium being ripped out. So,
oh my god, that was a rough looking scene. I remember that. Oh my goodness,
right.
I wasn't sure.
What I
had
read,
them all mangled up and everything.
What I read is that they actually animated it the way that was done in the comics. Like it looked like.
Ooh, that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting to see if that happened, but I didn't think Disney would allow that. That's
yeah. Apparently, they just did it the way that it was done in the comic when Magneto did that to Wolverine. So
I would love to see that cut just to see what it looked like with them animating it. But
maybe that'll be the thumbnail. That's too much of a spoiler, though, huh? To put on the thumbnail. Yeah. Yeah. So, man, that whole I'm trying to remember like what happens in there. They end up fighting Bastion, right? Rogue
fights him first. She kind of starts beating the crap out of him, taking him down to the moon, and also that was a crazy fight.
I did like when she literally just clapped her hands into his face, like, and there was like so much power behind it that it was like, oh, she might win. You know, but you kind of know she's not.
Yeah.
But she did some damage, basically. She did quite a bit of damage, actually. And yeah, that fight was cool. That fight was cooler than her story arc, in my opinion.
Makes sense. But yeah, and then I know that whole scene with the meteor. So I don't want to. I don't know if I don't if you want to say anything else. I kind of want to backtrack a little bit because I was going to ask you how you liked the sword fight with Nightcrawler. I know you're a Nightcrawler guy. Got to see him use the sword with his tail. Like that. That was a long time ago. That was like episode 7, I think. 7 or 8.
Yeah,
8.
I want more. It wasn't enough.
It was okay. That was you. I think they were doing a lot with him being a priest too. So I thought that was actually interesting.
I remember
really
we talked
pushed
about
that
it,
in.
and I'm glad. Yeah, he kept his faith, and
he kept doing it. And it was because I mean it was the time, like they were constantly in trouble.
And
so it made sense.
And he was praying a lot, and I did like that. I think he didn't get a story arc. He was just part of everyone else's this time.
Yeah.
So I would love for season 2 to have, you know, an episode like they did with Jubilee or whatever, where we get to see more of Nightcrawler. Because every time he did, like when he was doing the sword fight, and then when he was fighting Bastion, like when he would teleport him in front of people and they just like blast him or whatever, like that was great. Like I that's what I love about Nightcrawler is his power, his teleportation. It's so cool, and when it's well done like that, I just want to see more. So I loved it.
We got a little tease for Colossus too. I don't know. Did you see that?
Was that with Forge?
So when Forge and Bishop are talking, there's a screen where it shows all the X-Men that are gone because the meteor disappeared, and you could see Colossus is on that chart, and he's there. He's obviously there.
He's on. He's still on the planet.
So I bet you anything he's going to come in next season with Bishop and Forge.
He better.
And they're going to be doing stuff. Okay, so we're going to the end now. I wanted to bring that up because I don't know. I'm assuming you watched the post-credits scene. Post-credits. I don't know if it's post or after. There's even a further one too. So at the end, where the meteor disappears, which confused me, but that was the point. It confused everybody. We got Rogue, Nightcrawler, Beast, Xavier, Magneto are all with En-Sabah Nur, which is Apocalypse. And Egypt, 3000 BC.
Thought you were going to build up to it.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
We also got Cyclops and Jean apparently are in the future in 3960 AD. They're with Mother Ascanti and the Clan Ascanti, and they're with Nathan apparently. Nathan's there, aka Cable, but as a young boy. And then at the end there was an after credits scene. Which was with Apocalypse in the modern day, and he was in Genosha. So I guess modern day is 97, right? I'm guessing that's what they're going with. Modern day.
It's still 97 for them, which is a little confusing to watch, I will admit. It's cool.
It really is.
But it is hard. It's hard to keep that in your mind sometimes because it doesn't. A lot of stuff does feel and look like the 90s, but it doesn't really fully feel like the 90s because you just can't, right? They're making it 30 years later almost. And so, it is 1997 according to them. Which you know what? A little side note, I really enjoy watching movies where there's no cell phones because it's really hard to do stuff, and so you have to. It makes for good movies and shows.
Yeah,
because
the stakes are usually higher. Yeah,
like I mean, they have the the telepathic abilities with Professor X and Jean, but that was like a huge advantage, right? Like that wasn't. Now it's like, well, we can all just do that. We don't really need that power from you guys anymore. So, just a little side note. sometimes they pop on a 90s movie or maybe even a little bit older. It's really fun to watch that happen and watch Keanu Reeves run around without a cell phone. Chain Reaction, I think, was the last one I watched. I don't know if you ever saw that one with Keanu.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah. I don't think I've seen that one actually.
And they would have to run to a payphone and be like, "They're gonna trace this," and so you can only talk for so long, and blah blah blah. Anyways, back to X-Men.
So, any other key scenes that you want? If you want, you want to do a key scene, then I'm going to do. I have a couple of scenes that I wouldn't mind.
Okay, I mentioned it before, but the hyper combo from Cyclops to Bastion, overpowered Bastion. Which was very satisfying.
Nuts. I love the way he looked too, Bastion. He looked like he reminded me a lot of like Angel, but Angel as the Angel of as in Death when he's one of the Horsemen of Apocalypse.
One of the Horsemen, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, he looked cool. The what do you call throwback jerseys, throwback uniforms? Other than Jean Grey's. Jean Grey's
that was
like,
interesting.
It's kind of hers is pretty dated.
Hers does seem the weirdest because even then, like it was a weird. It's because the reason why she had that costume back in the day is because she couldn't really do much. She didn't have very many powers yet.
Oh yeah,
she grew into her powers, but there was a time where her powers were like actually pretty weak, and so she would be there, but she wouldn't be able to do what everybody like. Compete on the same level as everybody else,
right? Yeah, and then now what? And then can you explain to me? It's not a big deal, but how did she just get the Phoenix powers?
That was a weird one. So apparently, the Phoenix is always inside of her. Is kind of the whole thing. It's kind of what they mentioned before. Is that her and the Phoenix are one and the same at this point. So that was the Phoenix taking over after the fight. But she was still in charge of it, it seemed like, which is how she used the power to zap Sinestro. Oh my god, Sinister. Sinister.
I didn't even catch it that time.
Sinister.
You got me. You said it so many times. I'm like, yeah, that sounds right.
I know, just throwing it in. But one of the ones I thought was really fun, it's probably one that a lot of people thought was really fun, was when Cyclops said, "What'd you expect? Black leather?" Yeah, and I thought that was hilarious. That was a great callback to the original X-Men movie.
Just meta kind of reference. Because, those movies hadn't even come out yet in the 1990s, the 97, right? That's... Because what did they say? Yellow spandex, right?
He says yellow. What do you expect? Yellow spandex to Wolverine,
which is crazy because in the new Deadpool movie, he's
wearing the yellow
spandex suit with the boots and everything, and it looks amazing.
It does.
Yeah, it's like, guys, yeah, I want that. I want that more than the black leather. So, he gave it to Cable. I saw a couple memes about that where Cyclops comes back, he has the little yellow underwear piece. Because they wear the underwear on the outside, right? And so he comes back there's one more part, and he's throwing him the yellow underwear.
That's hilarious.
But I did love the throwback uniforms. Although Nightcrawler just has the same one. Now that I think about it.
So why did they have the throwback uniforms? I feel like I missed something, or did they just do it for fun? Was it just
I forget what they said.
Is it because they left him at the X-Mansion or something? I couldn't, and so they were using the ones in Ireland? I think
so. I think because
something along those lines.
The mansion got infiltrated, so they had to use what they had. And I think it was just, obviously it was just to appease our little nostalgia brains.
Yeah, and I think they've been playing around with the costumes too, so I'm curious to see. I'm really curious to see if they mess with it enough, how far they're willing to go without, because I feel like there's only so far they can go before they just completely step away from it entirely. Which I wouldn't be opposed to after a couple seasons if they just either went to modern day or something. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah,
That could be fun.
I wouldn't
but
either.
I don't know if they would.
But they'd have to like stick with it. I don't want them swapping out costumes every other episode. I don't think I want that.
I'd be happy with more character swaps, though. Maybe not kill them
Oh,
off,
yeah.
but just some more people coming in, like bring Colossus in for a little while, and then maybe he steps
Give him,
away,
like-
and then somebody else comes in. You know,
Yeah.
I would love to see like Magic, even though she's a
So-
little newer, but still.
So that is.
Oh, but she did show up. Never
Who,
mind.
Magic?
Yeah, I mean, she didn't show up, but she Morph turned into her at one point.
Yeah, and
She's
well,
obviously there.
he also turned into the Hulk, which is I think the best way they can do those characters is just have Morph. Like that's all the Hulk I want to see in X-Men, right?
And we saw Psylocke and Quicksilver. There's a whole bunch of people, but Hulk for sure. But I would love to see more of like. I would love to see Magic show up. I'd love to see X-23 wouldn't be able to do it. What was that?
Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger were there as well. Yeah, they were there. Little Cannonball and Psylocke, and that's that little guy. Is that Cannonball? Is that who that is? I think that was Cannonball
I don't know who you're talking about.
from Alpha Flight.
Oh,
but anyways.
the little germ guy.
Yeah, he's in that black leotard. It was with Psylocke.
I don't remember. I'll have to look at that.
It was the background.
We mentioned it. Yeah, there's like they shove like 30 characters in there, just barely for some of them. Daredevil, you actually see him like kind of beat someone up.
I did kind of love that in a weird way though, because there was like some scenes where you had Captain America and Iron Man. They're just kind of like sitting in an Oval Office or something.
Yeah,
they're just like watching like. You're the Avengers. Okay. You're just not gonna do anything.
I know why are you
why
not
are you
out
just
helping?
watching? Ooh, I think you know what they got this. They got this right.
Yeah.
We're gonna sit this one out.
I didn't even think about that. I think they at that point they're like, yeah, we can't do.
Like it showed Deadpool fighting, and it showed even Spider-Man. Like I mean, at the end it showed Peter Parker and Mary Jane watching the TV.
You mean
Daredevil? Daredevil. So Daredevil fighting.
I wish they did.
Actually, they should have showed Deadpool. That'd be actually amazing. Because of the movie coming about everything, it would be interesting.
Oh, people would have melted. Their faces would have melted. All right, so I have
even like the Psylocke crew fought too. Anyways, what?
Yeah, I have a couple gripes.
Here we go.
Nothing major. Nothing major. The first one is that it was too short. Right, 10 episodes. I did not realize that was the season finale. So when it ended, that was it said that was it on the screen. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me, right? Like, no, like I wanted 15. I wanted 20. I wanted a full season, but they did what they could in 10. So I think they just could have done so much more with like 5 more episodes.
I feel like they could have, but at the same time, it did leave you wanting more. That's for sure.
Yeah. I get it. It was, a trial run, and I hope season 2 is a little bit longer. I don't like 10 episodes for an animated show.
I feel like the show was pretty sporadic on times though, right? So there probably was like, if you consider it like a 22-minute show or something like that. There was quite a few episodes that were at least 30 minutes.
Oh, like
if not, double? There was a couple. I think there was a couple that were 40
double episodes. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. What I really want is a full 22 episode season, which not a lot of shows do that anymore. So I doubt we're ever going to see that with this show.
Probably not.
But it's not live action, so and I'm not going to pretend like I know what it takes to make an animated show, but I'm assuming it's a little bit easier than a live action. So here's hoping that since season 1 was successful, that it'll be longer for season 2. So that's my first gripe.
Okay.
The second one was actually the line from Black Panther, which I was trying to look up if someone else caught it, and funny enough, people saying there's a plot hole because of Black Panther. So I was looking this up because the line he said bugged me, and I'll get to that in a minute. But what people are really harping on is that Captain America says King T'Chaka is right, you know.
Yeah.
But in the X-Men timeline, King T'Challa was in charge during the original show, so we don't know if that was on purpose and it was like a nod to Chadwick Boseman because he's T'Challa still, or if they just messed up, or you know, his dad's back or what. But like that's what like a lot of the fans are confused about. Like in the original show it's T'Challa, so why is T'Chaka talking as Black Panther? So yeah, just a fun little loophole or whatever. Maybe they'll explain it. Who knows? But the line he says kind of bugged me was that he says, I hope kids read their textbooks more than their Bibles because only history can forgive us of this or something. I was like, what? I don't even know where that came from or what that means. I'm like, and what kids are reading their Bibles more than video games? I don't know. It bugged me as a Christian and someone who does read the Bible. Like, why not both? Why you gotta bring the Bible down in the middle of this? So that
I didn't even remember that line. That was in the show.
Yeah. I went back because I heard it when I was watching it. I was like, oh, okay. I heard him say Bible, and I didn't really catch it, so I had to go back and watch it. And that's what he says: is that he hopes kids read their textbooks more than their Bibles. And I was like, who are you talking to?
And who says this?
Black Panther, King T'Chaka.
Oh, in the show, really? Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I missed that entirely.
Yeah, I only caught it because he said Bible. I was like, oh, is that Nightcrawler involved? Nope, he just says it. He just says it to the president of the United States, and then they nuke the asteroid. So I don't even know what he was referring to, but it was a weird comment and it kind of bugged me. So I was like, whatever. But that's it. Honestly, I love the show. It had some down moments. Not a lot of filler. For like I said, 10 episodes. Really? So really, they really pumped it out quite a bit. I mean, even Jubilee, she got her own episode, so they developed her character, and then she even got a good hit off on Bastion at the end there. So her powers are getting stronger, right? Like,
yeah, she said, "I'm getting sick of that line" or something like that. When she says, "Oh, look, the 4th of July is going to attack me."
Yeah, so like, good. If she's going to be there, then she needs to do something. So good for her for being stronger.
Oh yeah, we also saw Cyclops without his goggles too. That one thing that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, technically, right?
Yeah, and
with
the
Cable
spirit thing. Yeah, that scene was fantastic. I was a little teary eyed in that one.
No, yeah,
but
I like that too. Like I mentioned that earlier. I like the whole story with Cable.
Yes, fantastic. But well, unless there's anything you want to nail on real quick, I think we might wrap it up here.
Did you have any gripes? Anything you would have liked to have seen?
Honestly, I can't think of anything I didn't like. The only episode that even bugged me a little bit was the Jubilee episode, and that was only because it was filler. It was definitely
a filler
part of it. Yeah,
but they're trying to have her become more of the X-Men because I don't think she really did in the old show. She kind of was just a kid that never really grew.
Yeah, it was like she was the punching bag for sure by most people. I don't think anybody I knew liked Jubilee. Same with Cyclops. Cyclops also had, but I don't think Cyclops got it as bad as Jubilee.
Yeah, he at least was like the leader, so he had some clout.
Even in the comics, even in the comics, I can't. Whenever I see Jubilee, okay, so I haven't read all the comics, obviously. But the section I was reading, I just felt like she was just.
I thought you were an expert.
But she.
Why are we even? No, I'm just kidding.
The ones I did read with her, she was either barely there, or there was a whole arc where she was like a vampire. So I think they felt like they kind of ran out of stuff to do with her or something.
Which, by the way, she's pretty powerful as a vampire.
Oh, is she in the HeroClix?
And HeroClix, yeah, she's pretty beefy. It's wild.
I bet.
So that might be a fun story if they ever go down that route in the show.
Yeah, we'll see. It'd be interesting. I'm really curious what they're gonna. Obviously, they're retreading some Apocalypse stuff. We'll see how much they actually retread.
Yeah, I know. Like,
but
did they go through?
Villains.
That's what I was gonna say. Did they go through every villain in the old show?
No, there's way more villains. Yeah, they went through a lot of the popular ones for sure. Like, obviously, had the Phoenix Saga because that was a big deal in the comic world at the time. And also, we got the Apocalypse story, and we got obviously Sinister.
Oh,
I almost did it. Yeah. I'm trying to think the other villains off the top of my head.
Obviously, a lot of Magneto.
I mean, a lot of Brotherhood and stuff. Yeah, obviously Magneto and all that stuff.
I would have liked to have seen Rogue as part of that, as part of the Brotherhood, a little bit more. With like, and her and Sunspot actually kind of leave the X-Men for like half an episode or whatever. And I guess they do fight. But yeah, I guess there's probably tons and tons of episodes. I don't remember who and who wasn't in the original show, but they did show Omega Red as in the cameo. So that'd be cool. I think you said it earlier. I just want to see more Colossus in like an actual story. I would love to see Colossus and Nightcrawler together, and maybe they form the X-Force. I don't know, or Excalibur.
X-Force, in this type of a world, I could see an X-Force like being displayed in some regard, some fashion.
Yeah.
It could be interesting. I think that's a good. Well, we'll end with that. If there's one X-Men you would like to see added to the show, in a more substantial sense, at least in like a one shot or something, is there a character you can think of off the top of your head, like an X-Men? There's a lot of X-Men. So is there an X-Men that you could think of that hasn't been in a show, or just hasn't been enough that you really want?
Besides.
We all know Nightcrawler and Colossus, but they've already been in the show, and I almost guarantee Colossus is coming back more too. But besides those two,
they probably wouldn't show him in that little scene if he wasn't coming back.
Yeah, he's coming back.
Yeah. Shoot, I didn't know you were going to ask this.
Well, I'll start. How about that?
Okay.
Think about it for a second. All right, Magic. I'm going to go with Magic. I love Magic as a character. I think she's really cool. She's a really cool character who has like a powerful sword. She's Colossus's sister, which is also really interesting, and she can control demons as like her power. So she was shown.
I did not know
she was shown in one of the episodes because morphed into her with the sword to hit him. But so that means she's around, and she's also Colossus' little sister, so it makes sense if she's around. And he would have to see her in like a uniform at some point, so obviously she's somewhere. So I would love to see something along with her, and maybe like a Mephisto storyline along those lines. That'd be really cool. I could totally be down with that.
That would be cool.
So I think it's my character.
Man, I don't remember who and who wasn't really in the original show. I think it'd be cool to see X-Man make an appearance.
Wonder Man? No, that's not the same person.
He's part of the Canadian. What are they called?
Yeah, Alpha Flight.
There you go. Yeah.
I only know that name because I was really into Wolverine for a long time. I mean, I still like Wolverine a lot, but I read some Alpha Flight because of that.
There was, I don't even know the full story. Maybe it was just a one shot, but there's at one point Colossus becomes Juggernaut and has the costumes combined. So it's kind of a cheater answer, but I would love to see that story arc.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I read that section of time where he was the Juggernaut, and it was really cool. Like, he was really cool.
So cool. The costume looks cool. The powers are cool. I mean, you could do like a 2-episode story on that, and I think it'd be great.
Oh god,
So-
yeah, that'd be really fun. I would totally be down for that.
So to answer your question, it just came back to Colossus.
Colossus, but with more powers.
So, yeah. Exactly. So
I'm down. I love Colossus too. I want to see him. I'm like so like determined and certain that he's gonna be in the next season. I almost guarantee.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to say guarantee he's gonna meet up with Bishop and Forge, and because he was the only one there that was like recognizable. You knew who that was. Like it was right there next to everybody.
yeah,
like-
it was front and center.
Yeah, so I feel like he's going to show up at least to help them. Maybe not as such a big capacity, maybe a smaller capacity, but still, I feel like he's going to be there.
Real quick, I pulled up the picture. Archangel and Rogue and Morph are missing. Cable is AWOL. We already talked about who's off-world, like Jean Grey and Professor X.
Yeah.
But the ones that they know of are Colossus, Iceman, Havoc, Exodus, Dust, Shadowcat, Emma Frost, and I think Magic's in the corner there. It just says MAG. So that's probably season 2 starting cast, the people I just named, which Iceman would be cool too.
I hope so. Iceman would be cool. I have nothing against Iceman. I love Iceman. So I think we're both pretty big X-Men people, so I start going down a rabbit hole with that because I like almost all of them in some regard.
I would like
There's very few I don't like.
I'd like to get like a paperback, a trade paperback, and read a run of something. This got me in the mood to read the comic.
They were. I don't know if they are, but I know Marvel was doing a 97 cents month or something like that for their unlimited. So.
Oh yeah.
So
I can't do it, man. I can't do
it on
that
the phone. I won't lie. I was reading a lot digitally, and then I'm gonna have to end this here. But the Emery Wars finally came out with their next series or next chapter essentially, and so I got it digitally because I backed it, but going down to the comic book store and actually picking, because I just went down to pick up an issue because why not?
Yeah.
I wanted to read it, but I was like, I want to pick one up. I want it in my hands, and it was very nice to read it like physically. It felt
physical,
good.
Yeah.
So I understand that. So yeah, go get yourself something. I mean, there's lots of runs. I'm sure you could grab something.
Yeah, I have a couple in my
books are good.
I have a couple in my eBay cart, so maybe I'll pull the trigger and get one.
All right, sounds good. And you too, listener, go read some comics.
Yeah, go read some comics.
And we'll see you next time. I think we're going to do another recording next week. Not sure what we're going to talk about yet, but we'll find out. But that's it for us and me. And so we hope you have a good next week, and see you later.
Yeah, bye.